All right, everyone, it's Frank Klesitz. Thank you so much for coming on this Keeping It Real episode. It's Frank Klesitz with Keeping It Real, and I'm with my co-host, Greg Harrelson, and we have a wonderful interview for you today, especially if you're a brand new real estate agent. If you're entering the business as of the recording at this time we're going live the summer of 2021, you're going to get some insight on how to succeed. All right, so you're going to meet Ashlee here in a second out of Colorado Springs. It's been in the business for 2 years, sold over 50 homes so far, mostly from her database and sphere, and how she got started as a mom of 3, especially through the pandemic in a very competitive market. I think there's only a couple hundred homes for sale in Colorado Springs right now, with over 5,000 real estate agents. So she'll talk about how she remains competitive there while making a good income. So you'll learn all that. But before we do that, a couple housekeeping notes. I want to let you know that you can go to keepingitreal.com. That's where you can watch all the replays of all of our previous shows. Ever since about 2014, go there and watch the replays. We've interviewed top agents and successful people for whatever they're doing across the country. So you can learn what you need to know to sell real estate successfully and make a good living for yourself. All right. It's also on iTunes, and it's also on this is brought to you, by the way, by Real Geeks, a fantastic CRM. Go check it out, realgeeks.com. And you can go to the Real Geeks Facebook page where we also post the replays as well. And when you go to keepingitreal.com, which is the name of the show, go ahead and put your email address in, and you'll get updates when we have new shows. And we're only going to email you updates about shows there. You won't get any emails about anything else, just shows. And when it comes to the replay, it's one of the top questions we get. If you're watching this live, it'll be right here on this YouTube channel. Chances are maybe watching the replay now. Thank you. But if you're watching it live, it'll be right here afterwards. And also, if you have any questions, there's a chat box over here if you're watching live. Go ahead and ask the question. What's the right time? We'll be monitoring it, and I'll ask it for Ashlee or Greg here, so you can get the answers that you want to know. So anyways, let's get started. So Greg, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
As
Thank you.
always.
Thank you for being here with me. And this show is going to be fun for me because, as you know, I've built my company off of new licensees. So to hear her story and how she's doing is going to be fun. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Good. So Ashlee, I want to introduce you. So you started off as a home stager.
Yes.
And then you went to work as a transaction manager.
Yes.
And as a transaction manager, you're watching the agents there, make money.
Yep.
Something, and you decided that you wanted to become a real estate agent. So let's just start the story of what you did to get to where you're at, step by step, so the audience can follow along and maybe modeling what you've done or what you did or your mindset and philosophies and making the jump. You're probably paid on contract or a W-2 transaction manager, and you kind of had this idea that maybe you would succeed as a licensed agent. Can you take us back to that time and what was going through your mind at that time?
So I'm going to go back to when I started home staging. So I started that in about right after my second daughter was born. So about 2017. And I got into that because I love interior design, but my husband was already a realtor and I figured I had the connection. So I got into that, and then it just got really overwhelming because I was doing it by myself, moving all the furniture, calling up my husband like, hey, I need you to help me move a couch, and as a realtor, schedule's busy. So I got into the transaction side after that because it just got really overwhelming doing home staging. So I backed away and I worked for my husband and his team. So I actually didn't make any money. So I just was helping him out, but it definitely helped me have more knowledge of how the real estate world worked, right? So I was learning the contracts and the disclosures and all of that. And it had always been in the back of my mind that I wanted to be a realtor. I actually told my husband to be a realtor because I wanted to, and I'm very introvert, so I didn't think it would be the right job for me. Because when you think of realtor, you're like, oh, you have to talk to people, you have to be in sales. And I wasn't. This job has brought me out of my shell. So I finally decided after doing the transactions and just like thinking, I could actually be an asset if I was a realtor rather than just sitting behind the computer and doing all the transactions. I think I could be an asset. So I took the leap into getting my license. And that's kind of how I just decided to do it. I just didn't want to keep being behind the scenes. I wanted to be more in front I love showing homes. I love doing all that because I was in the industry with my husband. So that's really how I decided to be a realtor.
Got it. How fast did you get licensed?
Really, really fast. So kind of fast, but not fast. I got the schooling. So I went through Kaplan online and I signed up, and I had the books for a really long time, and they just kind of sat there staring at me. And I just had this like back of my head, like, you're not going to be a good realtor. Why are you even bothering? So I didn't even look at them. And then I got an email from Kaplan, and it's like, your course expires in 3 weeks. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I literally did it all in 3 weeks. And then I got licensed.
You passed, you got it, you got licensed, you felt great. You're like, oh my goodness, I did.
Yeah. I was like, I don't advise anybody to do that, but I was just like, oh my gosh, I really need to do this before I have to pay for it again, right? So 3 weeks.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
So
you very much. Yes.
Right. So what was the first thing you did when you needed to go find business?
So I actually started finding business before I was licensed. And this is what I suggest to all new agents that are in the process of getting licensed, and anybody that joins our team. That is, we take people on our team that are still in school, because we figure they can start learning scripts. They can start doing everything before they even have their license, right? There's nothing saying that you can't learn how to have a real estate conversation with somebody. So while I was doing my TC side and my 3 weeks of school that I crammed in, my husband was constantly drilling me with scripts and drilling me like, where are you going to get your business from, Ashlee? Like, what's going to be your niche? Where are you? Like, every day he'd be asking me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, stop bothering me. But I'm glad he did, because I just kept thinking like, I'm a military wife. So I thought, am I going to follow that pattern and just like focus on military? And I thought, no, there's so many realtors here that do that. I want to be different. Like, how can I differentiate myself? And I really just focused my time and effort into social media. And that's where I really started to get all my business. And I did it before I was even licensed. I started building up all my social media accounts. I would start telling people before I'm licensed, and I tell everybody this: while you're getting licensed, tell people you're in school, because by the time you pass your test, you might have people that are ready to go, right? They might not be ready right now, but they might be 3 months down the line when you're already licensed. So start telling them now, and then start building up your database before you even have that license.
It takes a lot of self-esteem to do that. So, I mean, think about it. You're going out to the whole world of everyone you know to update all your social media, which I want to ask you exactly how you did that. What does that even mean here in a minute? All right.
Uh-huh.
But I'm assuming you went out and told everyone, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And you're telling everyone, I'm going to do this, which only adds to like the fear of failing at it.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
But I feel like if you don't, how are people going to know, right? You've got to put it out there. And this is a very word of mouth business, right? Everybody needs to know, they need to know you're a realtor, because when they think of buying or selling, you want to be the first person they think of.
So when you say update your social media, you kind of figured out all these different things you could do. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming you sat down tell us the accounts you sat down with, tell us what you did to them, how you updated them. What does that mean?
So I really started my first month, even before I passed my tests, I was watching webinars all the time. And I knew I wanted to be on social media. So I was watching webinars on how to build your Instagram as a realtor, how to build your Pinterest as a realtor, how to do your LinkedIn as a realtor, how these were going to benefit me. And so I still to this day have on my computer these 10 pages of notes that I would take from each webinar. And I really wanted to focus on one aspect of social media that I thought I could flourish at. And I picked Instagram because I thought Facebook is just jammed with realtors. It is all over it. So I really picked Instagram, and I just started growing my following, learning my hashtags, learning what is a good live to post, what is a good story to be posting. Should I be posting real estate 24/7? And no, I shouldn't, right? Because I don't want people to be on my Facebook or Instagram and be like, oh my gosh, this girl is just annoying me with real estate. So I kind of follow that 80-20 rule, 80% of my personal life, see, I have a life, I'm out with my kids, and 20%, hey, I'm showing a house. Hey, I'm at an inspection. And that's really kind of how I did that. So I switched my Instagram more to be of my kids and I, to be more of my kids and I, here's us showing a house. Here's my kids and I doing this. Here's me doing this. It just kind of shifted it all to be real estate, but not 100%, right? Because I don't want to annoy my followers, and lose followers just because that's all I'm posting. I want them to say that I'm a human as well as a realtor.
Got it. Someone just Googles your name to find your Instagram.
Yeah, it's at Ashlee Nath _. So
got it. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So you started doing that. All right. So you started posting on Instagram. You can go there and see what she posts and how often she posts. you had no followers to start, right?
I had like maybe 200, and that was just like people I went to high school with, people I went to, like, you know, your family, your closer sphere. But I think I'm at about 3,500 now, and I really built that up in the beginning, but as I started to take off, I kind of didn't do it as much. And actually within the last like 2 months, I'm like, wow, I need to step it back up because I was flourishing on there. And then I just got so busy with referrals and all of that that I kind of took a step back.
So how did people find you? You guys got your business by people direct messaging you on Instagram?
So I just started going onto my the search tab when you can search people on Instagram. And I would look at anybody that lived in Colorado Springs, and I would make connections with them by either following them or messaging them. I wrote myself out like a script essentially to send people, and I would message them about real estate, or if I saw that they were a local business owner, I would message them about their business. Stuff like that is how I kind of built up
So
my
Ashlee,
following.
you were prospecting.
Yes, I was, right? And I did this all from learning this on a webinar. And that's what I tell people like that are new agents. Webinars are so important. I learned everything from webinars. Like, so I literally would just go on anybody that had tagged that they were in Colorado Springs. I would, you know, reach out to them, like their stuff, just like
No
grow my
matter who,
database that
just
way.
anybody that you found lived or tagged or hashtagged
Yep,
in Colorado
yep.
Springs.
And then I kept getting messages in my inbox like, hey, I see you're a realtor. I actually was thinking about buying a house. Or, hey, I see you're a realtor. My daughter actually wants to buy a house. And it just started going from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious about this. How many like hours a week? How many messages a day? How many messages a week? Like, how did you kind of set aside the discipline to just sit down and manually start
And
researching and writing people and scroll
Instagram.
through to do this kind of consistently, just like making calls
Right.
to,
It was my lead
you
gen,
know,
right? When I started in this, I said I'm an introvert. So I knew I wasn't going to be that one that was going to pick up the phone and cold call. Like that terrified me. I used to work at a doctor's office where people would call in, and when they would yell at me, I would cry. And I'm like, I don't want to call people and get people mad at me. I have people calling me and they're mad at me. So I just kind of knew that I was going to flourish better behind my keyboard in the beginning while I was still in my shell more. So I would, about 2 hours, I would do my 9 to 11 lead gen. And then from there, you know, I have my lunch and then back at it with more lead gen. I spent a lot of time on social media. I was always on my computer.
well, you spent your time
Yeah.
prospecting. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'd be careful using the word a lot of time on social media.
Right.
Really what you were doing is you were proactively emotionally draining prospecting
Yes.
for hours a
Yes.
day, right?
Yes.
But it just wasn't the phone. That wasn't your media of choice. You were using Instagram. I mean, how many
Yep.
messages in a typical day would you say you sent out to the abyss, hoping that you got a response from someone?
I
For
would
some
try to
type of
send, and I saw this on Ladies of Real Estate. I said that you should try and send at least 50 a day. So I would set my at least 50 a day.
So you would make 50 attempts a day
Yep.
to reach out to anybody in Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Were you discerning in any way outside of them just living there that you'd reach out to?
Hey, I saw your Instagram. I really like what you've got going on. We both live in Colorado Springs. I was just reaching out to see how you're doing. And then I would just throw a little pitch in the bottom. I didn't make my main message about real estate because I didn't want to come off super salesy at the beginning. To me, it was more about creating the relationships because this is a relational business. So I wanted to create relationships with people first. And then, of course, like I said, I had a little blurb about, you know, I'm actually a local realtor if you've been looking or if you know anybody. But it was mainly about just getting to know people in my community.
That's great. And
Yeah.
so you would do 50 a day, I mean, 250 a week. How long did you commit to like this discipline of all this messaging? Like, are you still doing it? How long did you do this? Like,
I haven't been doing it since the beginning of this year because I've just gotten really busy with referral business and past clients
good.
and all of that,
Point.
which is where
Yeah.
you want to be, right? But in
Yeah.
the beginning, pretty much the first full year at least, like just dedicating my lead gen time to that because I really truly believe everybody should have some sort of lead gen time blocked out, and that's what I would spend my time on was that.
How much research did you do on the person of like looking at their stuff before you messaged them? So you find
I
somebody,
would
look at their
definitely look at
profile,
their
how long?
page, make sure that they're definitely somebody I think would be a good candidate, or, you know, somebody that I would reach out to.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't a lot of time because I would just, like I said, I would scroll through the most recent posts in my area and I would just see like who was posting, and then I'd hop on their page and just connect with people that way.
That's great.
Yeah.
Curious. I still do not have an Instagram. I've never signed up for one. And if you know me, I still don't have a cell phone. I got rid of it like 7 years ago, 6 years ago.
Wow.
I know, I'm weird. That's a whole nother webinar. All right. I use email, phone, and if I could do it all over again, I'd love to communicate by fax. But I
Okay
digress.
then.
All right. When you message somebody on Instagram, do they get the message, or does it go into like an other folder, like on Facebook?
It generally will go to it depends how they have it set up. So sometimes it can go into their requests, or sometimes it goes straight into their mailbox. I think it depends on how you have your settings. I have mine set so that everybody's messages come to me so I don't miss anything.
Got it. So it depends upon the person's privacy. So it's just like Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Did they ever shut you down for too many messages?
No.
Did you ever
No,
get like
no.
blacklisted because you're doing so much direct messages?
No.
But they saw they were all personal. I think every message was
Yeah. It was
tailored
like a
to the
personal,
individual, right?
I would definitely write everybody's name, and I would like look on their page, you know, hey, maybe I found somebody that sold something on Etsy, or you know, they had their own little shop. I would say, hey, your shop is beautiful. I love all of your creations. I would love to link up and see how maybe we could work together. You know, how I could promote you, or we could, maybe you know somebody that's looking to buy or sell a house. So I made it very beneficial for them as well as me. I connected with a lot of people that were in maybe like an MLM business, or local
They were
business
probably
owners or anything like that.
entrepreneurial in some way, that were
Yes. Yep.
open-minded of like co-working with you in
Yes.
some way.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
That's a key insight.
Hmm.
Was there a way that you filtered your search by those individuals, or you just had to kind of pick it up
No,
by what they wrote?
Yep, I just would go through and I would see what people were posting, and like I would like a lot of people's posts, and that's how I kind of grew my following. It's just me liking people's things. And you do have a limit on that. I think like after I liked maybe like 200 things, it wouldn't let me like anything for like an hour, and then I would log back on and like more people's stuff. So
Got it.
yeah.
So Instagram is one. You got that updated, right?
Yeah.
You started using that. Were there any other social media accounts or methods that you used to drive business?
Facebook. I didn't make it my main just because, like I said, I feel like every realtor is on there really trying to push Facebook. So I definitely wanted to differentiate, but I did use Facebook, and I do still to this day use Facebook to get my clients. I post a lot of lead capture landing pages on buy sell trade groups in my area. So, you know, Colorado Springs buy sell trade. If I have a listing coming up, post it. Don't give away too much information. That's what I tell everybody. I'm like, don't give away your price, don't give away the area, so that they can go on Google. You want to capture their information. So I'll usually say like, check out this beautiful
Savvy
new
of you,
home
Ashlee.
under 400. You know, I say, I'll give a general idea, 3-bed, 2-bath, listed close to parks. And then if you want to see more pictures, because I'll usually post like 3 pictures, so you have a teaser, click on the link below. They click on the link. And my first year, I sold about 10 houses from just posting landing pages in buy sell trade groups.
Okay, let's dive into this. So it sounds
Yes.
like you were using Instagram for more of your direct prospecting,
Mm-hmm.
almost like an outbound strategy.
Correct.
And Facebook you're using as an inbound strategy.
Correct.
And your inbound strategy is you did Facebook group searches
Mm-hmm.
in Colorado Springs. How many
Mm-hmm.
groups did you join?
A lot. I've gotten kicked out of a few too, but they all have rules, right? You can't post
Yeah.
salesy, you can't do this. And I've noticed I got kicked out of a few, but I joined as many as I could find. Honestly, any kind of area, you know, Colorado Springs has sub areas like Peyton, Fountain. I would join any kind of
And what do you mean by
yard
buy
sale
sell
group.
trade groups? Can you give the audience a little more of what that means?
So any kind of group that is like, you know, you go on there and you can sell your washer or dryer, or you could sell a car, kind of things like that. Just literally you can go in and type your area, you know, Nashville buy sell trade, and you would come up with loads of groups that you can join. And it's mostly people selling their belongings, but I would just post, obviously read the rules. They all have very strict rules on the side. I would read the rules, make sure there was nothing saying, no business posting, no spamming, no real estate. A lot of them in this town, because it's very realtor heavy, say no real estate in all bold, right? So I wouldn't join those groups, but I would post in the ones that I was allowed to. And I got a lot of people, like I said, like 10 houses in my first year that I sold just from, and that literally cost me no money because I used my landing page through my Real Geeks website. So it was already through my website, and it took maybe 20 minutes of my day because I would post it in about 5 to 6 groups. I didn't want to be posting too much in one day, and I wouldn't post every day either because, again, I didn't want to get kicked out of these groups. So
how many groups were you posting in and kind of managing at any one time?
I would say probably I had about 15 that I would like consecutively post in, but I noticed that there was like 5 that I would get the best response for because they had about 70,000 people in these groups, right? So the bigger groups is where I would get the better traction. So as I started like figuring it out, right? Because at the beginning, you're just like throwing stuff to the wall, seeing what sticks. When I figured out what groups were best and what type of post was best, then I really got down to the nitty gritty because I think it all depends on price point, right? So I would post anything that was close to what here would be your average price of when I was doing it, not now, was about $350. So anything that was like $350 or less. I had tried it with more high-end ones that were in 500 and 600, and I got nothing. So that told me, don't be posting luxury in these kind of trade groups. Be posting something that average family is going to be affording or looking for. A 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage in a nice area close to schools, and that had really attractive pictures. That was always key, right? It had to have like a really nice kitchen, really nice bathroom, pretty exterior, and that's where I got a ton of traction.
What did you ever reach out to the people that hosted the groups or let them know who you are? Is there anything you did to warm up being in the group before you just
No,
posted
honestly,
a call to
I
action link to
didn't.
your landing page and signing off contact information for members?
No, honestly, I just was like, hey, here I am. Click on this link if you want to see more pictures of this house, and then pulled their information and just, a key with any kind of lead is the second they sign up to call them right away while they're still on your website.
I want to talk about that in a second, but I think that's really insightful. You only posted about 3 photos, just a little bit of information about the property.
Yep.
You didn't put the address, did you? Just put the area.
No, I didn't put the address. I didn't put the street. I didn't put the address. I didn't put the exact price either. I literally was just like, here's a little bit of a teaser of a house. If you want to know more, click below.
That's great. So you post it, and then you get notified by Real Geeks that a lead came in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then what'd you do?
Called them right away. Of course, you have to. The second it comes to your phone, speed to lead is key.
How many leads would you say you've generated just by doing that in Facebook groups just last year? I don't know. Give us an idea.
Probably about 100, 150, I think. And that was not being consecutive either. So it had to be the right house, right? If only one of the right fit came up a week, I would only post once a week. So it had to be.
How many of those converted into a deal for you?
About 10. When I ran all my numbers. So yeah.
Hold on. So you generated 150 free leads off Facebook.
Yes.
Got it. And you called them right away.
Yes.
And 10 turned into a deal. Greg, I don't know math. What's the conversion rate
on that? Just call it 7%, 7% or something like that.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think some agents, when they're just going off cold like ads, are much less than that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's pretty good, actually.
I would call them more warmer leads because it's people that's looking at a house in that area that already live here.
Plus, when they came in, you can say like, you were probably in this group and that was me that posted it. There's probably some relationship.
So when they came in through Real Geeks, I could see that it was on that landing page. So I'd say, hey, I saw that you were checking this house out at 123 Main Street. Would you like to go see that house in person? What did you think? Is this the kind of house you're looking for? This price point, this area, this many beds and baths, and just start conversations.
One question, Frank, I think, Ashlee, is when you did that post and you posted the property, did you do forced registration or did you just allow them to come on to your Real Geek site and then register whenever they chose to? Or did y'all have forced registration enabled?
Forced registration. Yeah.
Did you
They
have
had to register to see the pictures.
Perfect. So right from the get-go.
Right. Yeah. So they would
Yeah.
click on the link and it would pop up and say, enter your information. And then it would show them the house.
So Frank, there's a lot of debate about whether you should use forced registration. But I'm a believer that you should. I also do. But that's also, remember, these people have an opportunity to go to many websites, let's just say Zillow as one, and not register and see everything that she was about ready to show them. So the fact that they were, she probably kind of inspired them with the pictures that she posted or the property she chose, but they liked what they saw and they were motivated enough to volunteer their personal information to actually see the rest. That's a qualifier. So if we look at that and think of that as a qualifier, that could have an impact on her conversion. Now, somebody else is going to say, yeah, but if she didn't do that, she might have got 300. Maybe she would, maybe she wouldn't, but she probably would have had the same 10 to 12 sales. So that really influences the conversion ratio. So good job on that. I'm glad you did that.
Thank
It's
you.
also interesting, I want to share, and that's very insightful, is that most buyer lead generation is generally unbranded. It's here's my home search site off of a Google pay-per-click, or here's kind of this unbranded Facebook page going to a landing page. Most people just want to see the home. Is your landing page, I'm just curious, is your landing page branded or is it just unbranded about the house when you set it up through Real Geeks? Is your picture on the page?
Oh, no, my picture was not on the page.
We'll call it unbranded.
Our logo was on the forced registration,
Slightly.
but that was it. So yeah.
So it's still
it's property focused. It's all property focused.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're still coming in from a very branded ad. So it's you personally posting in the group.
Yep.
Is how the leads coming in. So to only generate 150 to close that many is just incredible. So I think that really, a lot of people have to chase down, hundreds of leads to get it right. And obviously there's skill and scripts and all that, but that's pretty cool to hear. So let's keep moving on. So you have Instagram, wonderful strategy. Thanks for sharing that
Thank you.
that Ashlee. Kind of your outbound strategy. You had your inbound strategy working Facebook groups, right? That's kind of your thing there by posting landing pages. Was there another kind of pillar of social media or other pillar you were using to generate business that you can share with us today?
Not social media. That was about it for social. The rest was just sphere and client touches. I did a lot of reaching out to my sphere and then keeping the relationships there. And then another really great way that I got sellers was building a relationship with a local bankruptcy attorney in town. So coincidentally, my husband and I started in this whole industry by flipping houses. So we were flipping a house across the street from a bankruptcy attorney. And he would come over every day, hey, what are you guys doing today on this house? And we just built that relationship. And then he got really close with my husband and I. And then when he has anybody that comes in, we provide the CMAs. So we provide value to him by doing the CMAs.
They're required to get the broker price opinion of value.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So building that relationship was another really key pillar to my success, was building that.
Well, let's break these down. So the third pillar is sphere.
Yes.
So I'm assuming you had to actually write down a list of the people that you would consider in your sphere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us about, you made this decision of sphere. Okay. I need to write a list of people that I even consider that, or whatever that definition is, right? Which is how do you define that?
Right.
And then you had to maybe find their contact information. You had to put together a list. Then you had to figure out, what do I even send these people? Because they're probably not in the market right now to buy or sell a home. Let's figure this out. So what did you do when you realized you had to build your sphere list?
Went through my phone, figured out who was in my phone. And then I worked on just the relationships that my husband and I had already had. From there, just building through that, who are we going to dinner with regularly? Who's coming over to our house? Who is my kids' friends' parents, right? One of my first sales was actually a mom of a student that went to school with my son. So just building those relationships and keeping them in a good standing is how I kind of focused on that.
Was that hard for you to go through and start talking to all your friends and family?
Yes.
I can
Yes,
feel it.
as I
Yeah.
said, I'm very introvert, so I'm not one to push myself on somebody, right? So it was a little nerve-wracking for me.
Sounds like your husband's behind the scene giving you the nudge to do this. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
so was. I owe a lot of my success to him. So thank you, Joel, because I know you're watching. So yes,
Got it.
he's definitely been my support through all of it. You know, when I started selling, he actually stopped. So everything kind of fell on me, and he's definitely been my huge cheerleader to push me. He's like, I know you can do this. I know you know this, when I'm like doubting myself in the back of my mind.
I want to talk about this for the audience because, you know, everyone you hear on podcasts and webinars, like, yeah, I work my sphere, but you don't, it's easy to, you know, well, it's not easy, but it's, there's less, I would say there's less rejection when you kind of cold message someone on Instagram, or you get a lead that comes in off Facebook, there's less rejection. But to go out and
That's
put
why I
yourself out to,
focused on those ones,
yeah,
because I
to
did
go out
not
to
deal with
all your
rejection.
sphere and reach out to everyone where you're dealing with the rejection. Why don't you give the audience like what you said and how you reached out? I mean, how do you work your sphere, and how did you
So it
make
was
it in
a
a way
little
where it
different.
wasn't so painful?
It was a little different for me because it wasn't, my reaching out wasn't really phone calls. It was more of, hey, let's grab coffee. I did it more face to face because I felt like that was a little bit easier, and people have a harder time giving rejection when they're staring you in the face. And then at that point, people were so proud for me. They were like, I'm so happy that you're doing this. And but I would get coffee, breakfast. Another great way that I can throw in there that I built kind of my sphere was mom groups. I have 3 kids, so going on play dates led me into meeting people to grow my sphere. So I did that a lot. I joined a lot of mom groups and took my kids out on play dates, and it actually has turned into sales. I have 2 under contract right now from mom
Good.
groups. But I tell people
Congratulations.
like stuff like I met this particular mom when I was pregnant with my last, so over 2 years ago. And I've kept the relationship, not because I knew I was going to get a sale from it, because I really enjoyed her company, and her kids and my kids love each other, but it turned into something 2 years later. But it's all about keeping those relationships. That's another thing that I like to tell new agents, is that it's all about nurturing people. Sometimes people are not immediate, and don't brush them off, because they could turn into something, or their sister might buy something, or their aunt, or they might know somebody. So definitely relationships is how I kept my sphere, is just keeping those relationships in good standing, and just making sure everybody knew that I was a realtor, and that when somebody mentioned that they needed a realtor, that they would recommend me.
Do you have any systematic way to stay in touch with all those people that you meet?
My CRM, I keep everybody in my database, and just
That's good.
Social media is a great way, right? Just even posting and then staying in contact when somebody posts their kids' pictures, like on vacation, just making sure that you let them know that you're thinking of them, or on their birthdays, sending a birthday card, or anything like that. I put them all on my pop by list. I will say that I've put my sphere on my pop by list. So not only my clients get monthly gifts from me, my sphere does as well, to let them know that I'm thinking about that.
So, okay, so let's talk. This is what I'm getting at.
Not a huge sphere, not like 1,000 people.
I know, no, it's okay, but there's something going on here. You're doing something. So this gifting thing. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us about this. So you have, how many people are getting the gifts from you? Because I would assume that's the tightest definition of your sphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you sending? So you put together a gift definition for your sphere. You're sending them stuff regularly. Tell us about that.
So we try to do monthly pop buys, and then twice a year do client events, in which we invite not only our clients, people that are close to us in our sphere, so that they know that they're welcome. But my monthly pop buys, I like to do it by month, obviously. So July's coming up. We'll do something 4th of July-ish. We'll get sent out. And we send about 300 a month get sent out. So that
300 what? Get sent out?
gifts, whatever it is, right? So I actually have one sitting right here. So in May, I actually drew this. We did something like this. We just said, April showers bring May flowers. And then on the back, thank you for your helping our business. And then we sent out a flower seed packet with it. And that just lets them know, hey, we're thinking of you. Thank you for sending people our way or being a client. And then I'm trying to think of some other ones that we
So
did.
you mail out 300 little small gifts every
Yeah,
single month.
actually around Thanksgiving, we sent out mini bundt cakes to all of our clients. And we were like, we're nothing but thankful for you. And then everybody got a cake at their door.
Are these whose ideas are these? These are great ideas.
They're mine.
These are ideas.
I'm
Actually,
really,
I'm
super
you're a
crafty.
natural marketer. You know that.
Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, you are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of my job is actually the pop buys and the client events, which we have a client event coming up in.
Now, when you say
weeks.
pop by, that's typically means you stop over at the house. Do you mean a pop by as a mailer?
Sometimes we mail them. So the seed packets we mailed, but the cakes we delivered.
You'll go to 300 houses and deliver a cake?
Mm-hmm. Thank goodness we have a great team that helps us out.
Okay. So you go load them all up into map planning software and go drive around and go knock on the doors and give out cakes?
Yes. And we have, about 10 people on our team and we all divvy it up. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then you have other people getting gifts too. Is that correct? Not just 300?
Yes. So we have I personally have a handful of people that I know are either going to be a future client or they have sent me numerous amounts of people that I will make sure that they're on my mailer list.
Those are like your A's.
Yeah.
How many
they're all
A's
my A clients.
How many A's do you have that get the special stuff?
That is not a client. That's never been a client.
I don't know, just how many people in general, regardless of the relationship, I guess.
All of my clients get gifts. As long as they're still in town. So, obviously, sellers that have left town don't get anything. So all of my clients that are still in town, and we do keep in touch. That's another great way to get clients, right? Is we're in a heavy military town. So we have 4 military bases here. So they're constantly PCSing, which is when they come and go, right? They move, they change station. So a lot of my clients that are military that have left to go to a different duty station, maybe they're in Texas, maybe they're in Virginia. We stay in contact with all of them as well through email, and then just keeping them in the loop with things, just making sure that those relationships stay good, because when they're military, a lot of times they still know people that live here that they used to work with. So we keep those relationships really good as well.
You're great.
Thank you.
I know you were very nervous before this. Everyone, by the way,
really nervous.
Ashlee's first webinar. So thank you, Ashlee, for doing this.
Thank you.
But these are incredible tips that I think anyone could walk away and that can, as a brand new agent that's looking to get things going and doing what you're doing. I mean, I'll touch on very briefly. I want to bring you, Greg, in here. I just love the relationship with the bankruptcy attorney. So not only do you have an outbound strategy that fits your behavior style, not only do you have an inbound strategy that fits your behavior style, you also have a great sphere strategy. All right. But not only that, you also have kind of a strategic partner referral strategy. So you have all the pillars hit of how you go about business of bankruptcy attorney, which sounds like that was just built very relationship driven, of being this neighbor that you met over time to earn the trust where I'm sure they're getting hit up with agents all the time or investors, with letters and whatnot, trying to build the relationship, but you got in there through them knowing you.
Through just a personal relationship. It didn't start real estate at all. He was just kept coming over like, hey, are you guys doing the floors today? Like, we're like, yeah, you want to come help us do the floors, So that's how that started, and it just blossomed into, he said he actually reached out to my husband and I in the beginning, and kind of testing the waters, gave us a chance, and it just, I guess we excelled at it, obviously, and then it's just been years of relations with that.
Ashlee, that's great. Greg,
Thank you.
what's some insights you're having here with Ashlee, and speaking to a brand new agent, what could some brand new agent take away of just what she shared so far these last 40 minutes?
Well, I think she may not know it, but what I think she really just shared is a formula. And she may have came across this formula naturally, but now that we're kind of observing what she's done, it's really a formula. She's taken a very simple approach. She chose something that you just said fit her, personality style. So the way that she's choosing to build the business is extremely authentic. It's very intentional. It's really simple, like anybody can do it, but that actually makes it very difficult, right? Because it's the simple things that no one ever executes. But it's authentic, it's intentional, it's simple. She's extremely consistent about it. She created a routine. There was a number of people, 50 a day, and she delivered value. Meaning she led. What I'm observing is she leads with the give, and then let the take come in some form of reciprocity. And that's a formula that no matter what the lead generation strategy is, if you follow that formula, hers, social media, centers of influence, things like that, if you follow the formula, that works. If you don't follow, if you're not intentional, if you're not consistent, if you're not authentic, this doesn't work. I could go to outbound prospecting. It works if you follow this formula. But if you're not some of these things, it won't work either. So that's my biggest observation, that there's really a formula here. So for the people that are out there listening, no matter what their style is, they could follow this formula and create duplicatable and predictable results. That's what I'm gathering.
I think the fact is, you hear I'm getting all my business in social media, and I'm like, what? And I think you just shared that you're really getting your business by really savvy marketing on
Right.
Facebook, landing pages, how you only give up so much information, driving traffic to a squeeze page to follow up. That's like direct response marketing. That's very savvy. And through the daily grind of prospecting, it's just not on the phone.
No.
So no secret here, Greg.
Well, prospecting was not defined by cold calling.
Usually
people
default to think it that way.
Yes, that's a default. That's I don't like to prospect is I don't like to make calls, which is really I don't like to be rejected, which is really when I was a kid, my dad actually cussed out a telemarketer. So it goes all the way. We can trail it all the way. We can track it all the way back to the womb, I believe, of what the resistance is. But it's just wrong as an industry to categorize prospecting and lead generating as nothing more than calls. It's so not that. It's going out systematically finding business. It's exactly what she's doing.
You are. How have you managed to hold all this together with 3 kids?
I have an amazing husband that helps me with a lot.
Tell everyone the ages of your 3 children. And you just had a 1-year-old too.
Yeah, I have a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and then a 1-year-old. So she'll be 2 in October. But
you have support staff, support?
I do. We have an amazing assistant who is so great. We have an ISA who is new, and he is so great too. And then we also have, I think there's 8 other agents on our team who are all phenomenal. And whenever you need help with anything, everybody is so willing to just jump in and help. And, if I can't make it to a showing or an inspection, they all have my back. And same whenever they're out of town or if they need something, they know that we can all rely on each other. So it definitely, our team is our family, and they are like our backbone. They keep everything together. When I'm going crazy, I'm like, somebody's there. It's usually Eric, who is just so great, but he's like, "Woosah, Ashlee, like, you're good." So, our team is just phenomenal.
Good.
Yeah.
Greg, I don't have any more questions. I think this is great. Do you have any questions more for Ashlee?
I wouldn't say I have questions. No, I mean, I think this is man, it's great. I can't wait to see what happens in the next couple of years.
Me too.
Yeah. Ashlee, thanks for coming on here. We'll end the interview there. I'm very happy with all the material that you shared with everyone today. That's some really good stuff. Greg and
Perfect.
I are going to hang on here and talk about you after you leave about what we learned. So we're a little bit of bonus.
Okay,
But
great.
I want to say thank you so much. And if anyone has any business up in Colorado Springs, get a hold of you. How, Ashlee?
They can find me on social media, or they can call me, It's better to text me, but
Good. Yeah, just Google her name. She'll be
perfect.
available.
Yeah.
So Ashlee, you can
Somehow.
hop off. Thanks so much for your time today
Okay.
and coming and giving these great tips to everyone on keeping it real.
Perfect.
job.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yep. Yeah. So Greg, I got to tell you, that's always the biggest thing is finding a style of business, finding a method of client generation in professional services that's authentic to the rainmaker.
Yeah.
Where, and she definitely found, of all the options out there, something that's very authentic to how she goes about it. And it feels like she just does it with ease. It's what it feels like. Maybe not so much the sphere, but at least the Facebook marketing and the messaging on Instagram sounds done with ease for her.
Yeah.
So,
Again, it's a formula. It comes down to a formula. And so she decides, I'm going to do it this way. And then she starts actually doing it as a businesswoman. She's approaching it as a businesswoman. I'm not surprised she's getting results. And when we think about and we observe most real estate agents or just sales professionals in general, they're approaching it as kind of a sales business where they're just like, okay, let me go out there and hunt and see what I can get today. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. But the key is that then tomorrow they hunt differently than they did the day before. She's not hunting differently. She's figured out a way and she's being very consistent. And then over time, she's going to get the results. So, I mean, and that's the message that I want people to get out of this. Lots of great techniques and tips that she shared. Yet none of it would work if she didn't have the discipline to execute it day in and day out.
Definitely a lot of discipline there.
Definitely a lot of discipline there.
3 kids.
Yeah.
And sitting it down for 2 hours, writing messages.
Yeah.
It's very emotionally exhausting.
The discipline to not just create one message, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. That was discipline. Like that shows the authenticity there, right? That she's going to go ahead and take to have the discipline to look at some of the posts to see if there's something she can put in her message to make a deeper connection. That's a discipline.
Yeah, it's not mindless messaging. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And in all the Keeping It Reals that we've done, ever since I can remember doing them, there's not been one interview with somebody that has ever shared anything like that, of like reaching out on social media. That we haven't done a single interview like that, I think, of anyone that I've ever done. That was very interesting to me. I was intrigued. I was like, I haven't heard this before.
Sure.
I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think we just wrap it up there, man. There's no need to keep these going longer than what we need. I think that was a very powerful interview. So if you're a brand new agent and you're looking for a way to go about getting business and how Ashlee did it, I think there's some solid strategies that you could take away here. Feel free to subscribe to the show, keepingitreal.com, on iTunes as well. Also on the Real Geeks Facebook page, and great customers of Real Geeks. So if you need a CRM for those landing pages to put the properties on, that's very simple for you. If you want to follow the strategy and post them in the Facebook groups, go get a demo of the software that Real Geeks provides that we both highly endorse. And
by the way, in Real Geeks, Frank, I know that you're not actively using Real Geeks. I mean, that's not the business that you're in. But, on every listing that we have that shows up in our IDX on our website, there's a little button called share. So as long as I'm logged into my Facebook page in my browser, if I'm on Real Geeks and I just hit the share button, it automatically, boom, pops right onto Facebook. And with the link, everything that she did could be done with one little button. And then she'd probably create, I don't know if she was doing it this way, but I could hit the share button. It pops up into any Facebook group that I want it to. And then I can go ahead and put some dialogue to it. And then boom, publish. And there it is. Like, for those of you that have Real Geeks, if you're not using that, you should. And you should do it consistently. And for those of you that don't have Real Geeks, you may want to take a look at it. That's definitely a feature where you can generate free leads, drive free traffic to your website.
Nice. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much, Greg. Thanks for being my co-host. Thanks
Yeah, buddy.
for helping us put this on, and we'll see you next time.